Imagine a world suddenly transformed into a giant battlefield. Homes turned to rubble, schools to shelters, and children growing up amidst the roar of bombs and the thump of soldiers' boots. Imagine a single mad ambition that could ignite a war that would involve nearly the entire globe, cost tens of millions of lives, and leave scars that are still felt today. This is the story of World War II, not just a historical event written in textbooks, but a colossal human drama. A tragedy and a great lesson that revealed the thin line between progress and destruction, between hope and despair. World War II began on September 1st, 1939, when Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, invaded Poland with a lightning-fast strategy known as the Blitzkrieg. Within weeks, Poland fell. The action prompted Britain and France to declare war on Germany, beginning a global conflict that would spread across Europe, Asia, Africa, and the oceans between continents. But this war did not just come out of nowhere. It grew out of the injustice embedded in the Treaty of Versailles, from the unhealed wounds of World War I, from the global economic crisis that fostered extremism, and from the propaganda that blinded the nation's reason. Hitler was not the only figure in this dark story. Benito Mussolini in Italy and the military leaders in Japan had similar ambitions: to establish a new empire, expand their territory, and conquer other nations. Thus was formed the Axis powers: Germany, Italy, and Japan. On the other side, the countries targeted by aggression formed a defense alliance known as the Allied Powers: Britain, France, China, the United States, entered after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941. The Soviet Union, which had previously been neutral because of an agreement with Germany, but was later attacked, and others. This war turned into a battleground of ideologies, between fascism and democracy, between dictatorship and freedom. In the 6 years of this brutal conflict, the world witnessed some of the bloodiest battles in human history. The Battle of Stalingrad was a turning point on the Eastern Front, when Soviet troops managed to hold off and then repel the Nazi invasion under extremely brutal conditions. In the Pacific, the Battle of Midway turned the tide for the United States against Japan. In 1944, the Allies launched Operation Overlord, a massive landing in Normandy, France, that paved the way for the liberation of Western Europe from the Nazis. But behind the strategy and the weapons lay untold human suffering. The Holocaust, the systematic genocide carried out by the Nazis, slaughtered more than 6 million Jews, along with millions of others deemed unworthy by Hitler's regime. Concentration camps became symbols of almost unimaginable brutality. In Asia, Japan also committed war crimes, including the Nanking Massacre, the human experiments at Unit 731, and the sexual slavery of women from dozens of countries. When Germany finally surrendered in May 1945, Europe lay in ruins. But the war was not over. Japan held out until the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, ending the war in horrific fashion. The world was shocked by the power of a nuclear bomb, capable of destroying an entire city in seconds. World War II killed more than 70 million people, most of them civilians. Cities were destroyed, families were torn apart, and deep trauma was ingrained in the generations that experienced it. But from the ruins of war, a new world order emerged. The United Nations was formed to prevent future global conflicts. The Nuremberg and Tokyo trials were held to try war criminals. The world entered a new era, the Cold War, with ideological and political tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union dominating geopolitics for decades to come. To this day, World War II continues to be a source of stories, reflections, and warnings. Not just because of its extraordinary scale, but because it showed the darkest and brightest sides of humanity. There was savagery, but also courage. There was despair, but also hope. And as long as we continue to remember, not just the numbers and dates, but the real stories behind them, then tragedies like this need not be repeated. Because ultimately, history is not just about the past, it is a mirror for the future.